Most expansions don't fail because customers don't want more. They fail because CSMs don't ask the right questions. If your discovery sounds simple like this, hey, do you want to add more seats? Have you thought about upgrading to this new product that's going to add these really great features for you? You're already way, way too late. Today, I'm going to show you how revenue-driven CSMs use discovery to uncover expansion naturally. One of the biggest mistakes that I see with CSMs is jumping right to pricing or right just to solutioning. They hear there might be a need and they jump in saying, oh great, let's get Jim's team added. It's only going to cost you an extra $12,000. But expansion doesn't start with pricing. It starts with understanding your customer's business and how it's changing. Revenue-driven CSMs treat discovery as an ongoing motion, not a one-time event. Because let's face it, your job as a CSM is not to pitch more product, it's to drive business outcomes and drive business value. So one key thing about expansion is looking at discovery in 3 levels. 1, what's their current state? This is unfortunately where most CSMs stop, but you want to make sure that you fully unpack the current state. Ask questions like, how is their team using the product today? What's working well? Where are they stuck? Is there ways to embed this into your workflow? It's an important part of the process. It's definitely not enough, but it is an important foundation. The next level is business change, and this is where the expansion starts to really show up. So here you're going to want to ask questions like, what's changed in your business since we last spoke? Are there any new goals, initiatives? Are there any pressure from leadership around something? What are KPIs and how are those shifting right now with the current environment? And give them some insight that proves that you really know what's going on in their business. Growth, reorgs, leadership, these are all things that will create a ton of new expansion potential for you. Level 3 is the future risk or opportunity. And this is really where revenue-driven CSMs win. This is where you're going to ask things like, what happens if the goal isn't achieved? What would success really unlock for your business? Where do you see friction scaling this as you grow? This reframes the conversation from product to business impact. And how do you take those learnings and start to map that into a solution? First, don't jump right in. Many times you can get eager and you want to jump right into a solution. Instead, reflect the product problem back to them. So you might say something like, based on what you've shared, it sounds like the challenge isn't adoption, it's scale. If the team grows and these behaviors don't change, the risk is missed revenue targets. So speak it back to them and make sure that you can fully unpack it with them and understand the outcomes that this is going to drive. Only then do you introduce an expansion conversation as a way to really solve their business problem, not by selling an add-on. Expansion should feel like the logical next step in all of this. And you need to make sure that you don't fall into the common trap. And that's when you have a customer that succeeds really well with one team. So they might have some amazing value that they've seen so far. And their leadership says, hey, let's make this happen everywhere else. Let's make this happen with these other teams. That's not an upsell moment yet. If you jump the gun and you send over an order form too early, you're going to miss out on the real opportunity. This is a discovery moment. The question becomes, what changes when this rolls out across the org? Who else is impacted? What outcomes matter? And at what different levels do these outcomes matter? This is how you can take maybe a small potential win and really turn it into a meaningful expansion. So let me give you a challenge for the week. In your next customer conversation, don't ask about product needs. Instead, ask, what's changed in your business recently? What new pressure is leadership applying? What happens if these goals aren't met? And let them talk. Let them talk a ton. Listen for change. This is where expansion lives. And revenue-driven CSMs aren't selling expansion. They're discovering it. They're showing it back to the customer and showing it in their business value. And then it's going to happen naturally. In the next episode, episode 3, subscribe because we're going to talk about executive alignment and why it's one of the biggest revenue multipliers that most CSMs underuse. Subscribe and like, and I'll see you there.